What's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06, also featuring that next mod as we're coming up on close to halfway through the season. We're going to have some great action here today. So if you're excited for it as well as I am, make sure you help a brother out, man, by smacking that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you do happen to be brand new to the channel as well. And we are not going to waste any time. We are going to jump right into the action. We got Eastern Washington going on the road, taking on the number 8 team in America. We got the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. And Eastern Washington, they are a team, you know, if they win this game, they will be ranked in the top 25. But Northern Arizona looking to try to strengthen themselves up in the Pac-12 conference race. But that throw is not going to help the Lumberjacks accomplish that task at all, as Tyrone Wolf is going to be intercepted for just the second time this season. And he also injures his back as well. So we'll have to see if that is a serious injury or not. But in the meantime, we'll check out the Eastern Washington offense. Throwing over the middle of the field, he's going to find his receiver, and that will go for a first down. A wonderful throw there by Carl Johnson Fousen, as Fousen is looking to lead his troops down the field inside the 35-yard line, as Fousen will be in shotgun formation. Going to go play actions, got some time, fires downfield, and it's going to be caught. Touchdown, Eastern Washington, and the Eagles get one up on the scoreboard first. That will make it a 14-0 lead, and a dominating start here for the Eagles. Meanwhile, we will see Tyler Murray come into the game, as Tyrone Wolf is going to be hurt for at least a little while. So Tyler Murray, like I said, will come into the game. The former Sacramento State transfer, he is now here at Northern Arizona, backing up Tyrone Wolf here this season. So definitely a quarterback that has some experience. And if you're going to go to your backup, Tyler Murray is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the country, but gonna throw a very ill-advised ball here, as that ball was up in the double coverage and really had no business being thrown. But Tyler Murray did throw that pass, and now we're going to see Eastern Washington go the other way with it. Also, we do end up seeing an injury on the field as well, and that will wrap up the first quarter of action. So dominating first quarter for Eastern Washington. We'll see if Fousen can build off of that, as Fousen will also look to throw downfield. One-on-one coverage on his head. Touchdown, Eagles. And Carl Joseph Fousen is going to throw his second touchdown pass here in the first half. And a dominating lead gets even bigger, as we're now talking a 21-0 lead. Northern Arizona going to be in some deep trouble, but like I said, Tyler Murray had some great moments at Sacramento State before entering his name in the transfer portal, and now it's his time to shine. 2nd and 10 from the 44-yard line, as he will make some adjustments at the line. Murray's going to throw over to the left-hand side. It's caught, and now down the sideline, Lumberjacks get on the board, and Tyler Murray throws a touchdown for Northern Arizona. That will get that goose egg off the scoreboard. That was a really nice job recognizing the one-on-one coverage on the outside. That set up that touchdown reception. But still down by 2 scores, though, as Carl Johnson will look to try to get those points back right away. And Carl Johnson, he is on it today, man. He is balling out. It certainly helps when you have plenty of time to work with in the pocket today. The offensive line is doing a pretty good job of holding up, as that will lead into yet another touchdown. This time it's Terrell Barrett who will run it into the end zone for the Eastern Washington Eagles. And now we're looking at a 28-7 lead. So Northern Arizona takes over. Less than 2 minutes left to play here in the first half of action, and we got ourselves a battle in our hands. You know, we'll see if Northern Arizona can get some more points on the board. They are doing a pretty good job getting chunk plays downfield, but just have kind of struggled with getting those, those points on the board and really finishing drives. We'll see if that changes here too. As now Northern Arizona is cross midfield, sitting at the 40-yard line. As Tyler Murray is going to go with the play action. He fires downfield. He wants a touchdown, and he's going to get a touchdown as well. And just like that, Northern Arizona cuts this lead down to a couple of possessions. We'll see if it stays like that going into the halftime break, but first, Northern Arizona's got to kick this football away with 1:11 left to play here in the first half. That is the kicker, Fu Tai, one of your customs, that is going to be kicking that away. He's a true freshman, and unfortunately, that special teams lets him down in a massive way as Eastern Washington is going to score right before the half, a 98-yard touchdown. And oddly enough, Eastern Washington, they did end up missing the extra point attempt, but still a very impressive first half here for the Eastern Washington Eagles, who now carry a 34-16 lead. Later on in the game, Tyler Murray's going to try to get his guys back into this game, down by 18 at this point, so they're really going to have to bring that high-powered offense. We've seen it with Tyrone Wolf. Can Tyler Murray do the same thing for this Lumberjack squad? 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. It's got some time in the pocket, but an inerrant throw over the middle of the field. And if you're going to throw over the middle of the field, you have to be accurate. Unfortunately, Tyler Murray was simply not that. He was trying to look for his running back, Darrell White, but that is going to be off target. And now Eastern Washington with the football in their hands. And now the Eagles will take back over as Terrell Barrett. That is one of the more impressive 2-yard runs I think I've seen. He took a lot of hits there in the process, though. Still in the red zone. A chance to extend the lead for Eastern Washington, but just led Terrell Barrett down the field just a little bit too much. You know, he had the right decision. But Terrell Barrett started to run upfield, and that kind of led the throw going in that particular direction. Didn't need to do that. Just let your quarterback check it down. Keeping Northern Arizona just slightly alive here. Still need to get a lot of points on the board and do so in a hurry. Maybe this will help out some. Larry Gibson now will have the Lumberjacks. He leads all Lumberjacks receivers actually with over 100 yards through the air, through those receptions. Been a big time receiver. But now, Northern Arizona, they must finish. 1st and 20 after a holding penalty. Throws over the right-hand side. It's going to be complete. How about a big-time throw? And now we have 2 100-yard receivers for the Lumberjacks. But you must finish the drive. 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. Throwing towards the end zone. And it's caught. Touchdown, Lumberjacks. And Tyler Murray gets his 2nd touchdown pass of the football game. They do decide to go for 2, and that 2-point conversion is no good. So it is a 12-point game, but you want to talk about that fat lady singing. Boy, oh boy, do I think that fat lady. She is going to be singing now because after a failed onside kick attempt, Terrell Barrett's going to run it right down the sidelines. They're trying to run out the rest of his clock, or what little clock there is remaining. In Eastern Washington, they will be pulling off the upset. They are going to win this game by a final score 41-22. So that should be more than guaranteed for Eastern Washington to get into the top 25. And listen, I personally don't think Northern Arizona will drop that much, even though it is a pretty significant loss, losing by almost 20 points. But they were without their starting quarterback, so that could have had a little bit more impact on this game. Great win still for the Eastern Washington Eagles as they find a way, get that job done, and now we'll be looking forward to that Eastern Washington team in the top 25 sometime later in this episode. So moving forward, we go into conference action. Or always we keep it in conference action, but in a separate conference now. Alabama State and Southern will go off against each other here on national TV. And, both teams, they really need this win. Southern, they have been, to be honest with you, a little bit disappointing, as Flair McNair hasn't been great. 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He has been shaken up, through bits and pieces throughout the season. So, got that going for him. So, Southern really needs this win, and they are going to come out with a lot of intensity. They come out with an urgency. Flair McNair is going to throw a 38-yard touchdown pass down the sideline, and that will give the Southern Jaguars an early lead in spite of a very athletic player trying to get a hand on that football, and it will remain 7-0. As we'll see Kobe Pace, he's one of the best running backs down at the FCS level. He is going to get busy with it, and that's really who Southern needs to rely on offense. Let Kobe Pace do some work for you. He's one of the better running backs in the country. You know, really helped out with Justin Jones' development, just having that steadfast guy there by your side. And now it's 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line as Flair is going to throw out over the middle of the field. It actually is caught. That will go for a pretty nice reception. First down, Southern. And just, had that outside leverage, able to get that ball in there because of that. Later on in the drive, we do have a 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. It's going to be mano-a-mano. Who's got the better offensive line? And it looks like Southern is able to win in the trenches. A critical victory as I allow Kobe Pace to run into the end zone. Another touchdown for the Southern Jaguars. So they're looking good so far, but can they put together a complete football game? That is the million-dollar question. And shoot, can they finish this first half well? Because Nick Hardy is going to pick off Flair McNair there, still with that 14-3 lead. But Alabama State, they're showing a little bit of life there, but do miss the field goal attempt, so it still remains 14-3 as of right now. That will allow the Southern Jaguars to at least have one more possession of the football before we do go into the halftime locker room. 1st and 10 now as Flair is going to drop back again, facing some pressure over the middle. It's a bad throw. Nick Hardy is going to pick you off, and he did not have any interceptions coming into this game. He now has 2, both of them coming here in the first half against the Southern Jaguars. A critical must-win game, it seems like, for Southern. You really don't want to go to 2-4 right now when you got FCS playoff hopes and, aspirations. But Alabama State has something different in mind as T.Y. Huntley, he'll have a chance to attack downfield before the end of the first half. But that will be intercepted. And that will be going the other way now, trying to get it out to the tight end. But T.Y. Huntley just got to recognize that that's just not a good throw. That's just not a good throw, straight up and down. And now we're looking at a 14-3 lead going into halftime. Now, that being said, we go into the second half of action as Southern will start with the football and start in the second half in a big way down the sideline. And he is gone like a girl in a country song. 21-3 in favor of the Southern Jaguars. Later on in the game, T.Y. Huntley trying to respond, and this might help some. Able to get it out to his big-time receiver. Able to win off of that out pattern. Even able to make a couple of guys miss there too, as Joseph Pierre Martin's going to be able to bring him down eventually. But Bama State, man, they got to score on this drive, and they need him fast. Going to try to run it up the middle of the field, but nowhere to go with the football as that linebacker lights him up like a Christmas tree. And now it leads to a big first down. 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Couple plays later, T.Y. looking over the middle of the field. He's got his man, and it's going to be the fellow custom Trey Williams. And Trey finds his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Hornets. And they're going to try to sting back, in a big way. And all of a sudden, Alabama State back in business, able to get that 3 and out. How about throwing it over the outstretched arms as well from Joseph Pierre Martin? He's not messing around and playing any games as Alabama State does not punch it in there. Southern trying to go for that goal line stand. We'll see if they try to run the football again here on 3rd and goal, and they do. Good resistance there from the Southern Jaguars, but can't wrap them up, and that's really the most important thing. You got to wrap up. It doesn't matter how hard you hit. If you don't wrap up, then you're leaving yourself more likely to have those missed tackles, and that's exactly what we saw there. Now we are looking at Alabama State potentially coming in and having the lead themselves. They have not had the lead all game today. But here they are, 2 minutes left in the game. They could have their first lead. Huntley drops back in the pocket. He's going to throw over the middle of the field. It's intercepted. Southern picks it off. A critical red zone mistake for a junior quarterback. Could be a junior. He's a senior. He's a senior quarterback, and he makes that kind of throw. Like, what are we actually doing here? But Southern, they cannot run out the rest of his clock, so Alabama State, they will get one more chance, this time firing towards the end zone, and this will end up being incomplete. Very good coverage there. And it comes down to a few more plays. 2nd and 10 from the 16-yard line. Huntley goes to the left-hand side. He's got his running back out of the backfield, and no one accounting for the running back as Alabama State is able to leak him out. And in the biggest time, Southern, they have been in the lead for the first 23 minutes of this game. Not that 24th and final minute, though. And Alabama State, they shocked the Southern Jaguars as Alabama State is trying to improve its FCS football resume in light of the playoffs that are a little bit closer to coming through than, where we were with the season preview. But Alabama State, man, having a solid season. 4-2 will end up being your record. But Southern, they're going to be in some extreme danger now. 2-4, and frankly, not where you want to be. Speaking of where teams don't want to be, we got to talk about this New Hampshire squad who has really struggled through conference play. In the ACC conference, outside of traditionally James Madison and New Hampshire, it's not been a good conference, man. It has not been, honestly, one of the weaker perceived Power 5 conferences, quote unquote. So that's going to be an issue. So big game here for New Hampshire. If New Hampshire loses this game, they might fall out of the top 25, and that's almost unheard of since year number 1. We have not seen an unranked New Hampshire team in a very long time. James Madison is not going to try to do any favors. They need this win as well. Both teams actually trying to chase Delaware State, who has been off to a pretty good start here on the season. And now, 3rd and 4 from the 48-yard line. Bruno Baggio is going to try to lead him back up the middle of the field. And sometimes it's simply better to be lucky than it is to be good. And how about this? Catching it off the deflection. Way to keep your head on a swivel, kid. And now New Hampshire finds itself in field goal range on a 3rd and long, though. Baggio is going to wind up and throw it deep, and it's going to be incomplete. Going to be broken up at the last second by Eric Benelli there. And look at this. New Hampshire, they do end up going for it on 4th down. They get the 4th down conversion, and that has some big dividends there, as that will have New Hampshire eventually finding its way into the end zone. That will be Zach Lau who gets in there, and that's a touchdown for the New Hampshire Wildcats. Later on in the first quarter, as New Hampshire tries to put together yet another drive here as well. We got a 2nd and 4 from the 50-yard line, as we're going to be looking over to the right-hand side, and it's going to be caught and moving forward. Zach Howe, certified bad man. And look at his blocking on the outside. Great execution of the offense. It leads to yet another red zone opportunity. And New Hampshire has been pretty solid. 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. Bruno, he's going to drop back. He's going to throw to the right-hand side. And it's going to be broken up at the very last second. That's Emmanuel Lee who got his hands on the football. And now will force a 2nd and goal now from the 6-yard line. Bruno going to try to throw into the end zone once again, but it's going to be intercepted by Adam Butler, who's able to save 7 points from being scored. And James Madison will keep its lead. Just teeing up on the talented but inexperienced Bruno Baggio, who should know better. And now James Madison will take over. They'll look to try to go with a big play themselves, but we will end up seeing Stephen Terry throw an interception himself, and that will mean that James Madison, they give up the football too. So all things considered, that result was a punt, and New Hampshire can go ahead and take back over, but neither team really getting good play out of their quarterbacks. Bruno Baggio and Stephen Terry are supposed to be one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC conference, but haven't really seen that on the field. Both quarterbacks have combined for 0 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions, and because of that, that does mean that we have a very low scoring first half. We still only have that 1 touchdown from Zach Howe, and that's it. But we'll see if James Madison can change that. Stephen Terry's going to find a man down the field. It's going to be caught by Jonathan Henderson, the senior. He was overshadowed by Jody Gentry as well as David Thorne. But now he gets a chance to really shine with those two moving on to either the NFL or transferring up to the FBS level. Jody Gentry specifically with the Wyoming Cowboys, if you guys remember from the season preview. But James Madison, they do have the lead. 10-7 is your score. They have a chance to really put a dud on this thing, but fullback's going to put the ball on the ground. It's recovered by that vicious New Hampshire defense. New Hampshire going to take over at the 39-yard line, so a chance for them to come through and tie this game up at the bare minimum, and they actually do that. They do tie the game at 10 apiece, but there's only 53 seconds left on the clock. Terry's going to throw to the right-hand side, finds his man, and it's going to be DeMarcus Pride, the true freshman who was brought in to kind of help, replace those big losses in the receiving core. He's going to have a big-time catch there to put James Madison in the field goal range, but they're thinking of a little bit more as they go back to DeMarcus Pride, who may have just thrown the game-winning touchdown with 24 seconds left to play in the ball game. And that was the true freshman on a crosser, leaving just a handful of seconds for New Hampshire to respond, and Bruno Baggio getting sacked there by Anthony Bain, and really looking bleak here for the New Hampshire Wildcats. 7 seconds left. They got to drive down the field. This could be last play of the game. Bruno Baggio throws it up, and it's going to be caught! It's caught! Touchdown, New Hampshire, on the final play of regulation. And after a successful extra point as well, ladies and gentlemen, we have 4 quarters of action, and we are not yet knowing who the winner is. We're going to go into overtime here in this critical ACC matchup. James Madison, they will start with the football to begin the overtime period, and a rare handoff to Kyle Lockhart, and James Madison, they will answer the bell first. You know how they answer that bell? They answer that bell by getting that rushing touchdown. So now, if they don't get into the end zone, this New Hampshire squad doesn't, then that means this game is over. Looking for the answer, going to find Bruno Baggio, and he's going to throw it down the left-hand side, caught inside the 5-yard line. It is looking kind of likely that we could see a second overtime period, but New Hampshire struggled to put the ball in the end zone. The first 3 downs, as comes to his 4th down, trying to throw to the left-hand side. It's incomplete. This ball game is officially over, and James Madison, they will survive and they will win 24-17. That means James Madison will, take the lead in the Atlantic Division, and also New Hampshire is likely not ranked. So after that insane overtime game, we go into the studio to check out some other FCS scores around the league. And we start with South Carolina State going on the road to take on Bethune-Cookman, and the Bulldogs absolutely crush the Wildcats as they win 45-0 on the road, as it is a stone cold quiet day in Daytona Beach, Florida. As for North Texas, they actually take their very first loss of the season to Florida International, also in an overtime game, as North Texas falls to 5-1 after this overtime loss in Sun Belt Conference play. Continuing the trend, though, they are not the only top 25 team to go down, as for the battle for the paddle, that is going to go to Texas State as the Bobcats win one 30-21. Texas State, one of those teams flying under the radar, as they're now 6-1 on the season. Akron, however, is a team that is not flying under the radar, as they show why they're the number 2 team in the country, a 38-10 win on the road against the Sycamores of Indiana State. Arkansas Pine Bluff also wins in their conference game as they took on the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State. Golden Lions win 31-14 as they sit 4-2 here on the season. Eastern Illinois, meanwhile, was fighting to remain in the top 25, and they will do just that, taking down the Penguins of Youngstown State in conference play 34-24. Weber State, meanwhile, maintains their undefeated season. This time they played up against Idaho State in conference action, a rivalry game, and Weber State wins the rivalry game 45-21 as they now sit at 5-0 and looking to get into the top 10. San Diego State, meanwhile, almost lost another game in conference play. This time it was to Omaha. Those Omaha Steaks did not have enough, though, as they lose in the fourth quarter. Aztecs barely win 43-38. But you want to talk about a massive blowout. Alcorn State doing the business against Grambling State down in the Bayou. Alcorn State blowing the doors off the Tigers of Grambling State 57-18 as the Braves now get to 3-2 at just about the halfway point in the season. So that takes us into the FCS game of the week. We got a top 10 matchup here. We got a goodie. We got number 4 Northwestern State taking on the number 10 ranked Sam Houston State Bearcats, and man, we got ourselves a battle with conference implications. Winner of this game is going to control their own destiny to get to the conference championship game at the end of the season, and they got quite a backfield at Northwestern State. They got Matt Lewis, who's a pretty good quarterback, and as well as a running back in Bo Arias, one of the better running backs in the country. But we, Corso, don't care about what you got in that backfield because he's choosing them cardiac cats, and you can see the cardiac cat alert going on full circle right away as David Bullock is going to run like a bullet, get into the secondary. He does eventually get caught from behind, and Sam Houston State is driving, but they get into a 4th down conversion. Gotta convert this 4th down. They go for the big one, and oh boy, was it a big time play, because we certainly got one there, and those cardiac cats are going to take a 7-0 lead here in this first quarter. Later on in the first quarter, Northwestern State will be looking to respond, but Matt Lewis is going to throw his 3rd interception of the season. That is David King that gets his hands on the football there. Bearcats able to get a field goal off of that, and it remains 10-3 throughout most of this second quarter. But looking to drive down the field towards the end of the first half, Craig Gregg tries to make that reception, and they actually do call this a completion on the field, but then Craig Gregg fumbles the ball, and now it's no longer Sam Houston State football. Instead, it's going to be Northwestern State football. It remains a close game here, still a 1-possession game here in this second half. However, that being said, Sam Houston State will take over in the second half of action, and how about this throw down the sideline, able to get it out to Justin Sims once again, who's continuing to find those soft spots in the coverage, those deep holes in the zone coverage as well. And that will help Sam Houston State maybe get some points on the board, because for as great as Sam Houston State has been, they have struggled with scoring in the red zone, only scoring on 65% of their possessions this entire season so far. But that is not going to be a problem on this drive, though, as Mike Miniacci is going to punch it into the end zone. Touchdown, Bearcats. And the Cardiac Cats, they are looking good. 17-3 your score. And now they really need to rely on that quarterback. They really need a good dose of Matt Lewis there. And Matt Lewis is capable of getting some points on the board for you, but this is not an ideal situation, not by any stretch of the imagination. And now Northwestern State facing a 3rd and long, as Lewis got some time in the pocket this time, throws it out to the right-hand side, but throws it short. And because it was thrown short, it's going to be intercepted again. And something that you got to realize, Matt Lewis has only thrown 2 interceptions going into this game, but he's thrown 2 here today. He's certainly not having a good game. And Sam Houston State able to get a field goal off of that. So now 20-3 your score, and it looks like those wheels are really just falling off for the Demons. They are certainly not on demon time whatsoever. If anything, the Bearcats are on that demon time, as that is another interception for this young man. Davis having himself a game. That's his 2nd interception of the game, and this one could be even more costly if they can't keep him out of the end zone. Miniachi runs to the right-hand side, breaks the tackle. Now he's in open space. No one's gonna catch him, and he gets he gets touched at the very end. It still counts as an end zone, though, but a great diving effort there by the free safety to, attempt to save that touchdown. But Sam Houston State will, of course, still get that touchdown on the board. It is still a touchdown for the Bearcats. And now 27-3 is your score, as Mike Miniachi will, puts the icing up on the cake, as that will be one more score for the Cardiac Cats. And this one puts it well out of reach. Sam Houston State win this game in convincing fashion, 34-3. Northwestern State, they were undefeated going into this game. That will no longer be the case here, as that will make sure that Northwestern State gets into that loss column for the first time. But now we'll go and check on a game that I honestly thought was going to be the FCS game of the week, but the game disagreed with me. It's number 1 Western Carolina. They are taking on the number 7 team here at home, and they're taking on the Chattanooga Mocs. The Mocs, they are a team that's got some moxie, man, and, good reason why. They're going up against the backup quarterback, J.C. Dallas, who J.C. Dallas has been very serviceable during the 3-game suspension of Michael Young, but, backup quarterback, they're going to show their flaws, at any point now, or at least you would think, or we might have the next coming of Brock Purdy. You absolutely don't know. You saw that incredible run that Brock Purdy made up at the NFL level, and he came in as the 1st-string quarterback. So, you truly never know. Sometimes all you need is one shot, and you can make the most of that opportunity. And J.C. Dallas is making the most of it right now. Got his team into the red zone already. 2nd and goal from the 15-yard line, but is going to throw a very costly interception there. That's Sam Parham. And Sam Parham is going to say, I'm tired of the storylines of J.C. Dallas playing good against college defenses. And even though he's a backup, we're just going to go ahead and get our offense out on the field, where we go and check in on Mark Spicer, who did struggle last game, but, has generally been a good quarterback so far, especially when he's finding his top-notch weapons, Mike Thomas being one of them. That's a 40-yard strike to get this game going, and how about that throw? That is certainly a big-time throw there. That puts him into Catamount territory, as Spicer going to throw again on the play action is going to find Mark Thomas again. No, that's not Mike Thomas. That's another receiver. He wears 83. But what that still is, though, is a touchdown for the Chattanooga Mocs, showing some moxie here in the first quarter. And Chattanooga has the lead against the number 1 team in the nation. So we saw J.C. Dallas throw an interception on his last drive. We'll see if he can recover here on this next drive. And how about this throw by J.C. Dallas? Dallas able to throw that out to the right-hand side. One-on-one coverage. That was a perfect throw, too, man. You love to see it. Now they're inside the 30-yard line, as Dallas wants to try to run upfield, but runs into a brick wall there. Only picks up a few yards there. So this will likely be the last play of the 3rd quarter, as J.C. Dallas fumbles the ball there and then fumbles the football a 2nd time, and it's going to be fallen upon by Cade Yates, the senior statesman on the defensive line, able to land on the football. So that again prevents Western Carolina from getting into the end zone there. And so it's 7-0 still. Chattanooga, down by a touchdown. But Western Carolina throwing another interception. Chasey Dallas, man. Maybe that tape that's out there, maybe other teams are starting to catch up to what JC Dallas wants to do and hasn't made an adjustment to the adjustment yet. Chattanooga is going to be in range to get points on the board, and they will do that. They will come away with another field goal. So now 4:04 left in the second quarter, and Western Carolina still has not scored yet. They start this drive out inside the 20-yard line as JC, he's going to throw. He's going to get hit by Cade Yates as he throws that football, and that interception was caused purely by Cade Yates, who's having himself a really good day there on the defensive line. Really has been a game breaker for the Mocs, as we saw him with a fumble recovery earlier. He's now forced an interception too. Now Chattanooga with a chance to score even more points. 3rd and 3, throws over the middle, but it's going to be intercepted there too. Western Carolina finally gets a turnover, and this turnover is going to make him hurt. Does he score? No! It's not a score, but a critical injury on the field. It's Mike Thomas, is one of your custom guys in his senior year, who hurts himself, unfortunately, and it's a major injury as well. He breaks his wrist, and with how things are in the regular season, we could have seen the last of Mike Thomas here in the regular season. I'm just going to keep it real for y'all. The next time we might see Mike Thomas is only if Chattanooga either makes the conference championship game or they make it to the FCS playoffs. So that's going to be a big loss for his Chattanooga offense moving forward, because Mike Thomas was their top weapon, right? So maybe we'll see a little bit more Malachi Ross, Marco Walker moving forward, or we're simply going to see more interceptions from Chattanooga moving forward. That's the second interception that Mark Spicer has thrown in this one. And the Catamounts now with a chance to take the lead with less than 2 minutes left to play here in the first half, as it's still a 10-7 lead. JC Dallas lines up under center on this 3rd and 4, and it's a free runner up the middle of the field. It doesn't matter though, as JC Dallas is able to avoid the pressure just long enough to get that play off, and that will be a touchdown for the Western Carolina Catamounts. And Western Carolina now with a 14-10 lead. They get the ball once again here, trying to get more points on the board before we go into the halftime locker room. Chattanooga does end up going 3 and out on its next possession. And now deep in Mocs territory. Do they got some moxie here? JC, 20 seconds left, gonna fire to the left-hand side, and it's caught! Touchdown, Western Carolina. And the Catamounts, they will go into the halftime locker room, and JC Dallas gives them a 21-10 lead. So now the second half comes underway, and Chattanooga, despite all those turnovers that they forced, they were dominating that first half. Western Carolina getting significantly more yards than Chattanooga, and that shows on the scoreboard as well, up 21-10. That will also be exacerbated by another interception, this time being caught by Pistol McNeil, the true freshman, who quickly gets out of bounds and gives Catamounts good field position to work with. They'll take over at the 40-yard line. Throwing to the right-hand side, finds his receiver down the sideline. He's going to be pushed out of bounds at the last moment, but Don Davis now has over 100 yards receiving on the day. Chattanooga, they simply don't have a lot of answers for him right now. A couple plays later, it's a 2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line, and now Johnson is going to get loose. He has a wide open space, a clearing of the Red Sea, if you will, and Johnson comes out untouched on the other side. That extends their lead now to a 28-13 lead, as now looking over to the right-hand side, trying to put the dagger in Chattanooga, but there's still a little bit of fight left in this football team, as Dallas does throw he does throw that 4th interception here in this game. So, I mean, JC Dallas he's made plays, but he's also made some bonehead decisions. That was a bonehead decision there. So now Chattanooga comes out 28-13. Really need a score on this drive. Looking over the middle of the field, it's Mark Spicer, and that's what I'm talking about. Going to your other receivers. This is a pretty talented wide receiver room. Even though this is a big loss for Mike Thomas, these other guys are capable of making plays too. Can we see one of those plays made here on a 3rd down though? Marco, he's going to throw over the right-hand side, and it's caught! A cut again. Jordan making a Jordan highlight reel. He's now at over 100 yards and throwing that over Charles Watt, the true freshman custom as well. Chattanooga now in scoring range, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They do score there, and Chattanooga, they will try for the 2-point conversion there, and they will actually be successful on the 2-point conversion. So 2 minutes left. Force the Western Carolina punt. You got a chance to tie this game potentially, but Charles Watt, he makes up for his mistakes on the previous drive, and he's going to get an interception that might have effectively put an end to this game. Was trying to get it out to Marco Walker, but that being said, off target there. Western Carolina to get a field goal. So Chattanooga now needs a quick score, and they do get a quick score from Malachi Ross, who does put this defense on expose mode. I mean, look at where this ball was placed. I mean, it's not even a greatly thrown ball, but Pistol McNeil did a pretty bad job playing it, but it is going to be too little too late as Chattanooga, they do try to go for the onside kick, and the onside kick actually not successful. They do fail the onside kick, and that does mean that Western Carolina still remains undefeated. They show, why they're the #1 team in the entire country. 2 top 25 wins in a row too. They beat Arkansas Pine Bluff first and foremost. They're number 11 in the country, at least at the time that they played them. And then they also just took down Chattanooga, number 7 team in the country. They held on and win there too. That was even with a bunch of turnovers. Western Carolina, frankly, did not win the turnover battle here today. We'll go ahead and see what those red zone stats are. And there's the turnovers. More turnovers than Chattanooga. Look at that, they won this game. But while we were watching the FCS game of the week, as well as the game that should have been the FCS game of the week, we did get some other scores in simulation for the 6 o'clock games. And how about Portland State? Their struggles continue. They lose to North Dakota in conference play, 38-24. So after Portland State makes their first playoff appearance last season, they're now just 1-3 and in serious trouble of falling outside the top 25. But that being said, Tennessee Martin does get back on track after losing their last couple of games. They took on their rival in Tennessee State, and while the Tigers put up a good fight, they were no match for the Skyhawks in this one, as Tennessee Martin wins 42-39 to get to 4-2 on the season. With that being said, we will get things going with a little bit of Pack After Dark, and we will start with Sacramento State, the number 3 team in college football. They will be taking on the Montana Grizzlies, who, have kind of been this middling team ever since their year 1 run. Their deep year 1 run in the FCS playoffs, they almost made it to the national championship game. I know, I can't believe it either, but Sacramento State, they got a nice quarterback in Corey Hall, who is the real definition of a gunslinger. He's got 18 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 9 interceptions already on this season. And going up against Montana's quarterback, Mark Fulton. No, this is not Jameson Skinner. Skinner is actually hurt in this game, so we'll see what Mark Fulton has, see if he can guide this offense down the field. And not a bad start there. Mark Fulton going to get a really long completion down the sideline. It does get caught for a massive first down as well. That does put Montana in the red zone, but that doesn't automatically mean points, though. They're one of the worst red zone teams in the country. But Fulton is going to make sure that they will get into the end zone this time around. And on the opening drive here in the Pacific Northwest, Montana has themselves a 7-0 lead. So So now it's Corey Hall's time to strike back and see, what they got going on, as Carlos Butler is going to welcome him real fast. He's going to get his 5th sack of the season. And his Montana crowd, they are really hyped up right now, forcing them to a 3rd and long. And Sacramento State, for all the good that they do, they are not a good 3rd down team. And that is going to keep happening here as Montana gets the interception down the sideline, and he's gone. Touchdown, Montana. And Seth Goodwin takes it to the crib for 59 yards. And Montana does get themselves off to a fantastic start to the season. Able to high step his way down the sideline too while we're at it. And now Sacramento State's down 14-0, and we'll see if they panic or not. They might be panicking a little bit, might be a little bit razzle-dazzled if you know what I'm saying, because Corey Hall's going to throw another interception here. Already interception number 11, by the way. This is the Corey Hall experience here in year number 5, by the way. Lots of mistakes, but a lot of good throws like this right here. Corey Hall steps up in the pocket and throws a dime to one of your guys' custom players, Jacob Hill, who's able to make that touchdown grab. And now Sacramento State only finds itself down by 4 points again, as now Corey Hall is going to drop back the pack. He's going to try to give his team the lead here, and they are going to not get it. Wow, they do not get it. Jacob Hill does not win the jump ball opportunity, and Montana will end up getting a touchback there too, starting off at the 20-yard line. I mean, one-on-one matchup down the field, trying to give your guy a chance, and Montana guy does win it. So now Montana with a chance to, really extend their lead here a little bit, trying to rely on Mario Matthews, who's the former #1 running back in his recruiting class. He is now into his sophomore year, I do believe. But they don't go to Mario Matthews. They will allow Mark Fulton to throw the football yet again. And that does also get intercepted there too. So that will be 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line for Sacramento State, as they will give themselves a shot to take the lead. 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. Corey is going to throw across his body and finds his tight end in the end zone. And for the first time today, Sacramento State, they will take the lead here late in the 3rd quarter of action. Just trusting his receivers to make a play, and that's what we saw there. So now 17-14 is your score, as Sacramento State will try to throw downfield again. It's not really happening with the downfield throws. Ryan Manning, he will get his 5th career interception of his college career there, as Corey Hall did throw that up into coverage. Not a good idea. Looking for that tight end, but doesn't hurt him because Montana could not move the football the rest of the game, frankly. And not a impressive performance for Sacramento State, but sometimes all that does matter is you win the football game. You win the football game, and maybe those talking heads will try to doubt you, but a win is a win at the end of the day. And Sacramento State, they are 5-1 on the year, whereas Montana will essentially need to win out if they want to go to the playoffs, as they are down to 500. They are 3-3 here in year number 5. So now we will check in on another Montana team that's going to go into action. Yes, we will have 2 Montana teams here in one episode. How about them apples? So Montana State, they will be playing against North Dakota State, and both these teams are still looking for their first conference win here in the Big Sky Conference. As Montana State, I kind of expect that. They have traditionally not been great in conference playing, but North Dakota State, their worst start here in this series. We've known them as a powerhouse program. They have won multiple conference titles, at least to this point. At least they got 3 of their name that I remember. But now Montana State and North Dakota State, they're going to go at it, fighting for that first conference win. late in the first quarter. 2:41 left to play, and Montana State's gonna actually get the no, there will no. Okay, I thought we were gonna have a touchdown there for a split second, but Justin Brown still gonna get a very impressive run in there. 44-yard scamper that will put Montana State inside the 5-yard line. Great second effort though to avoid a couple of those tackles and get a couple of extra yards after contact. And eventually that fullback is going to go to work in Montana State. Montana State, they got the lead. They got the lead against North Dakota State. Where North Dakota State, they come in number 16 here in the nation. Could be a problem on our hands there, as Montana State, they're looking to put some respect on their name as well, I guess. And now, coming into the second quarter of action, North Dakota State, they are sticking with that option attack, even though there has been many explosive plays in the option, and there's a classic example why maybe the option doesn't always work. They're a little bit more of a run-heavy team, and just unlike in past seasons, they have not been able to get those big plays that you're looking for down the field. And now, Montana State, we will take a lead into the second half, but can they hold on to it for the entire game, though? That'll be the million-dollar question. Right now, not looking so good, as Darrell Ravis is going to get this interception, or Darrell Lamb, I should say. Not a good throw there either by Maurice Billings. Eventually, but North Dakota State, they do end up missing that field goal too, so it does remain a 10-3 game for now. As now Billings will go ahead, and no, they're not going to hand the football off. It's a play action, and it's caught for a nice gain down the field. That's a huge first down there. Just trusting his receiver to make a play deep in coverage, and just a very good job there, high pointing the football. And now Maurice Billings going back to work, throwing over the middle of the field, but it's intercepted late. And that will be picked off there. North Dakota State could save their conference season there potentially. On that throw alone, Stitch is going to get in there and intercept this football. So Montana State doing a nice job driving the football downfield. But instead, it will actually be North Dakota State that will be trying to drive the football down the field themselves, as Garrett Keefe, he's going to scramble to the right-hand side, and he will find the end zone. Touchdown, Bison. And just like that, North Dakota State, they are right back in this game, all knotted up at 10 apiece here, going into the final quarter of action. Both teams desperately need this win in the worst way. Who wants it more? Montana State. Billings fires to the right-hand side, and it's caught. Now streaking down the sideline, and Montana State is going to score. And with 5:17 left to play in the final frame, Montana State could pull the upset against the North Dakota State Bison. And that's just a great job there again. High pointing that football. Never had a chance, and it is the Montana State Bobcats that win their first conference game. And you know what else? North Dakota State, they lose. I kid you not. They end up losing their third consecutive conference game. You literally cannot make this up. They are down horrendous right now, as they are going to fall to 2-3 here on this season, as Montana State is now 4-1 on the year. A good year for the Bobcats. But for the final game of action that we got going on, we got a nationally televised game that we got going on between the Samford Bulldogs and the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks. Both teams fighting to be in first place here in the new Big Ten Conference. We'll call it the Ohio Valley. Why not? Because both teams are undefeated, you know. So they'll technically be tied. Samford just has played one less conference game, so that's why they're listed at third place. But needless to say, this is a pretty big game here for both teams. We'll see who wants this conference game more, as Samford has one of the best defenses in the country. They come in ranked in the top 10 in totals of yards allowed per game, sitting at under 270, and you can see why, as this is a very optimistic defense. And Travis Johnson getting fooled there, trying to check it down in the flat, but that flat was just simply not opened up. That will be an interception for the Samford Bulldogs, and Samford will get off to a pretty solid start there. They will get a field goal on the board. But Travis Johnson now trying to go to work here. Throws to the right-hand side. And Travis Johnson does get a pretty good football off there. And that will be 2nd and 10 from the 37. Now Johnson's going to throw again over to the right-hand side. It ends up being caught once again as Travis Johnson getting a couple of big throws, making up for the interception that he threw on the previous drive. We'll see if that leads to a touchdown, though, as Johnson will throw one more time towards the end zone, and it's caught over Jabari Thomas. Touchdown, Southeast Missouri State. And it's the Redhawks with a 10-0 lead. So Samford actually did not score off that first interception. Completely missed that. We were bamboozled and fooled because Southeast Missouri State and Samford, they're showing similar colors here on the scoreboard. So yeah, we definitely got fooled there. But this defense is not getting fooled at all, though, as it looks like it's Joshua Taylor that does fumble the football. Now allows Samford a chance to possibly get points on the board, but they will go for it here on 4th down. And they will actually convert the 4th down conversion. Samford finds the end zone for the first time today. It's a 10-7 affair. Hendrick Solo trying to give his guys the lead, though. Tries to throw a bullet down the right-hand side, but that Southeast Missouri State defense, one thing that should not be confused, this is one of the best defenses in the entire country, and Kelly Russell just kind of showed you why there. Good throw, but it has to be a perfect throw sometimes to find consistent holes in the Redhawks defense. It's always been the offense that's kind of held them back a little bit, as Hendrick Solo is going to drop back. He's going to throw over to the right-hand side. This is with a big-time throw down the sideline. That's Quinn Snyder with his first big catch of the day, as he's trying to see the Samford Bulldogs take the lead here before we go into that halftime locker room. 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Hendrick is going to throw to the right-hand side, but it's going to be intercepted as well. Down the sideline, it's Bam, Bam, Hendricks. He's going to make a Bam, Bam play. And that's only the 3rd career interception for Bam, Bam Hendricks. And that's a big-time interception there, too. Setting up great field position for the Redhawks offense as well. Just not the fastest guy on the planet. Not sure what you can do there. Wide receivers are going to catch linebackers most times, but Southeast Missouri State, they will get a field goal there, as that will make it 16-7 as of right now. And looking to be an even bigger lead, and that's down the sideline, and that is in the end zone. Touchdown, Redhawks. That's another one on the board, baby. As Travis Johnson throws that strike to the right-hand side. Nice job with throwing that corner route. Threw it really with some good anticipation as well. And now it's a 22-7 lead. Hendrick Solo's got to lead his team down the field over the right-hand side. But Bam Bam Hendrick, he is living inside his head right now. He only had 2 career interceptions throughout the course of his college career as of right now. He is coming in here in his junior campaign. And Bam Bam Hendricks, he's got something to say about it. Hendricks going to get that 2nd interception there too. And now it's 1st and 5 now. Solo going to try to lead his team back down the field. Yet another field goal there that we experienced for the Redhawks in this one, as Hendrick Solo is going to take the sack this time around. But he will eventually lead his guys back down the field. 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. Hendricks needs to throw a touchdown here. Throws with pressure in his face. And, oh, that is nearly picked off there as well. That was a lot of pressure that was generated up front that led to that near interception. It was Kelly Russell that got their hands on the football. One of your guys' customs, too. Now we jump into the 4th quarter of action. Hendrick Solo just, at this point, really just feeling the heat. Southeast Missouri State, they smell that blood in the water right now, as that is going to be yet another sack that Hendrick Solo is going to take. He has had a battered body. And now it's 3rd and goal from the 9-yard line. Solo looks over. He's going to try to throw to the left-hand side, but that will be intercepted as well. just not their day today, as Southeast Missouri State shows why they have one of the best defenses in the entire country there. Solo was absolutely flustered there, as Southeast Missouri State wins this big-time conference game in a pretty convincing manner as well, winning by a final score of 28-7. That will be your final score. Redhawks, they will have sole control over first place in the new look Big Ten Conference, as they will get to 5-2 on the year, whereas Samford, they will be taking in their second loss, as they will fall to just 3-2 here in year number 5. Now, before we go ahead and jump into what that new Sports Illustrated magazine is looking like, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in terms of, some other top 25 teams that were featured in the 8 o'clock slate. We have Texas Southern, who is ranked number 5 in the country. They beat Prairie View A&M in what they dub as the Labor Day Classic down Houston, Texas, and Texas Southern wins 35-10 in order to get the 5-1, while Prairie View A&M is at 500. The other game, though, was Eastern Kentucky, as they fight to remain in the top 25, and they will do so for now, but could be some concerns moving forward. They beat Jacksonville State 20-17 as the Colonels win their 5th game of the season. And now, let's go ahead and see what that new Sports Illustrated magazine cover is going to be looking like. So you want to know when we're getting close to playoff time is when they start seeing those bowl rankings come out, and when we start to see, really that formulation of, FCS playoff dreams, start to really be shaped out. And we go into the top 25 now. As of a result of that, we do have some changes, some teams moving in as well as some teams moving out. We start with the very top, and at the very top, what we got going on still remains the same. Western Carolina, Akron, and Sacramento State, they are going to be your top 3 teams. After that, we do have a little bit of change here. Texas Southern moves up to number 4 in the country, with James Madison also moving up 1 spot. Sam Houston State, however, will move up 4 spots thanks to their blowout victory over Northwestern State. As for Arkansas Pine Bluff, they'll move up a couple of spots to number 7 after their 17-point win over the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State. Georgia Southern was on bye, but they get back into the top 10. They're currently sitting at 4-2. As for the remaining parts of the top 10, Northwestern State falls 5 spots after their loss to Sam Houston State. San Diego State, though, moves up a couple of spots, and they get back into the top 10. Outside of the top 10, Weber State is on the door as they take care of business against Idaho State, and they're still undefeated on the season. Chattanooga lost by a few points, but they don't get punished that much as they lose 5 spots after losing to the number 1 team in America. As for the bottom half of the top 25, Southeast Missouri State moves up 5 spots, and that is thanks to their big win over the Samford Bulldogs. NAU of Northern Arizona, they move down to 14, and they lose big to Eastern Washington. Eastern Kentucky, thanks to their survival, they move up to 15. Don't know if they're playing like that, but it is what it is. Eastern Illinois, though, moves up 6 spots, and that's after a 10-point win over the Youngstown State Penguins. Tennessee Martin also moves up 6 spots as well. They got a 3-point win over Tennessee State, but we do see some newcomers coming in towards the bottom of the top 25. Eastern Washington, they were unranked last week, but because of their impressive win over Northern Arizona, they are actually now the number 18 team in college football. Samford is still hanging in there at 19. Temple is up to number 20, with New Mexico State moving to 21. And then rounding out the top 25, we got the Florida A&M Rattlers at number 22 in the country, followed by Portland State hanging on by a thread, North Dakota State, who's also below 500, and then Eastern Michigan, who's a newcomer. They get into the top 25 for the very first time this season. As for some other teams that are receiving votes as of right now, New Hampshire is the leading vote getter with 241 votes, followed by Nicholls State, Murray State, Montana State, and the Alabama State Hornets as well, as we did see those 3 teams leaving the top 25 in New Hampshire, Nicholls State, and representing the Sun Belt Conference, that is North Texas. But guys, that will go ahead and wrap things up here. Another episode, the FCS Dynasty wrapped up, and I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you have to be brand new to the channel. Visit John J Gaming on the mic, coming at you with more FCS content in the next episode. But until then, I hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.